You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Hour, the show that brings you unfiltered stories and insight from the Twin Cities real estate world with your hosts, Chris Rooney, broker at RE/MAX Preferred, and Andy Presky, leader of the Preferred Home Team at RE/MAX Advantage Plus.
Bom dia.
I made it back, boys.
He's back. He's back. Barely.
Yeah. I barely made it, actually. You guys know where I went?
What adventure did you have?
So I was up at the cabin a couple weeks ago, and my buddy Blair says to me, Andy, hey, one of our guys backed out going up to Canada onto a fly-in fishing camp. And I was in until I heard fly-in, right? Because I do not like to fly. That's just nothing wrong with it. Just don't like to do it. So I hesitantly said yes because I love to fish, but I hate to fly. And I don't tell anybody this, of course, because in their heads are like, come on, dude, let's go. It's, guys, right? And so we flew into a camp called Tang of the North, lodge.com, I think it is. What a great outfit. Wonderful people. Get up every morning, have breakfast, actually have hot showers. They have satellite radio, the whole thing. Then you go out fishing. Fishing's great. The lake's deeper. So not only do you get walleye in the tributary lakes, but you actually have lake trout. So there's I think the main lake's like 240 feet deep or something crazy. So it was cool. And then when we were flying home, of course, I take what did I tell you I take? Some pills.
Yeah.
Flying pills, so they just chill me out. So
Drugs.
Basically I can sit there and like the guy said, Andy, just hold your crayons. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like looking the window, looking outside, and I'm so out of it, right? But we climb into this little plane, and I don't bend very good, so I'm like sliding into this cockpit. You get in there, I strap in, and these guys are, of course, they know that I'm struggling with wanting to fly home. I want to get home, but yet they know I hate to fly. How old is this old bird? Well, it's a 19 whatever. And he goes, wow, that makes it 70 years old. And the kid goes, the pilot, he's probably 30. He's like, oh, this old bird, she's better taken care of than, whatever. It's just maintained beautifully. We build the engines whatever. Starts them up. Both engines smoke a little bit, just a titch, a little bit. And I'm kind of going, oh boy, maybe they're not quite rebuilt. We're at the end of the rebuild. But I'm still, imagine Andy sitting there holding his crayons and looking out the window going, oh no. I'm trying not to panic. He fires up the engine, fires up the other engine. We're sitting there and he starts pumping whatever. I don't know what they pump. Maybe a pilot could tell us. He's sitting there and he pumps something. And he goes, all right, here we go, boys. Let's go. And he reaches down to grab another lever and it goes whoop, into his hand. And I'm sitting there. I can't move my mouth. I'm going, oh my God. I'm dying. And my buddies are like dying laughing because they know that I'm dying in the back. And I'm like, if I could move, I would grab the door and jump out. And anyway, it turned out to be some kind of a rudder. And he goes, oh, it's not going to affect our flight at all. It's just in the water. And so the kid in front of me, literally, they wound up this cable. The kid pulled it and sat there holding the cable the whole time we flew home. Whew. That makes me sweat thinking about it.
It was just some kind of rudder. No big deal.
I wasn't into details at that point. I was trying to get out of there. I was like, I'll take an Uber home. They're like, there's no roads up here, sir. There's not even logging roads to get there.
There's nothing worse than not being in control.
Yeah, and the guys that fly in there though, and this is just, I'll be nice for a second. Wonderful people, wonderful, super nice. And he, when he saw that I had that look in my eye, he goes, oh, this is one of the best maintained birds in the whole fleet. you're flying one of our best. And he could tell I had a little, tingle in my eye where I was going as I get on the plane. I don't know.
Hey, I'll tell you what though. Last week they say you don't know what you got until you don't have it no more. That was the first week in like 2 years I haven't seen you or us three been together weekly, and I don't know. I kind of miss the energy, so I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad we're rolling again.
Thank you. I was trying to figure out a way to do it, and I don't. Maybe you guys can help me figure that out. They do have a satellite connection there, but your phone has to be set up a certain way for it to do a live stream like that. It almost has to be like FaceTime, I think, but I don't know if it would pick up our stream. But it was I'll be honest with you. It is something that I've always wanted to do, and when you get up there and Chris, you're not much. I don't think you fish much, do you? Never. Yeah. And I could make you a fisherman up there. I mean, you're hooking a little minnow, you drop it over the side and you're pulling up a 27-inch walleye. Or like for me, I was screwing around, of course, weird, in the front of the boat, and I'm not even paying attention, and we're in like 12 feet of water, and I caught a 28-inch long lake trout, which I thought I caught a shark. That thing was like around the boat. It was fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It would start with putting whatever on the hook, and it would end with taking whatever out is on the other end.
Yeah,
with me, because I got bit by a fish at 11 years old, and now I don't mess with them.
We had one, and I know I'm probably dragging this out way longer than it should be, but so my buddy Blair is adamant fisherman, fishes all the time. The other two guys that are with us fish all the time, and I'm with basically 3 engineers, right? So these guys are all stats, data, whatever, and I kind of joked with them a little bit, and we were looking at, when I got home, these guys did a spreadsheet and took screenshots of where we went on the GPS every day with a copy of the weather for that day, what color of jig we were using, so they could get the data put together. So there's like some science behind this. Like on a 73-degree day with sun, with the water being 56 degrees, we caught 3 of these and 2 of those on this color jig. It was great, but anyway, it was fun. It was fun because I don't think that way. I just go up there and go, "We got lucky! Woo! We got a fish!"
It's the fishing show. I think this is a good start. How about that could kind of whip us into how lakeshore sales are going.
How are lakeshore sales going, Chris?
Lakeshore sales are still moving, Andy. Usually, this is it's actually a little late, I say, to get them on the market, just because once you start getting into summer and nice weather, people want to start enjoying it. Now, the good ones are going to sell no matter what, but sometimes they're just the doldrums of summer because people are trying to enjoy it versus just starving for it.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, it's market obviously it's still moving.
Well, don't, Chris. I mean, and don't you? Okay, so the all-time battle is it's our last summer in our beautiful dream home before we downsize. We want to spend the whole summer there and then sell it as the ice is coming on the lake, right? And let the new buyer take the docks out. And the other person says, if I'm going to pay this price, I want the whole summer, especially 4th of July at the new place, right?
No problem.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Then people wait. They wait it out. And that's why fall is usually a really good time in which to be able to sell, because that expectation is now gone. And when people are listing them and they're telling people, you know what, I really don't want to be out until the summer's open or over. Why would I want to go buy it? And maybe I'll just wait a month or two to see if something else comes up that I can grab. So it's kind of a tight one, but I mean, obviously if it's good lakeshore, good lakefront, the house is nice, people are going to wait for it regardless.
Yeah.
Wow.
That counted as your commercial. You're over.
Nope, that's called the short.
We don't do shorts or clips on this show, son. We do ads.
Give him an analogy, Nick. He'll feel better.
Cookies are better with. Sorry,
you gotta say one. So
you should have heard this character that we had up there. This Dean. I can't repeat anything that he said on the radio or on the show here, but he, oh my God, had me laughing so hard. You know how you get that guy? He's from the bush. He's up in Canada all the time, and they talk different and they say things that are, in their opinion, is very appropriate for fish camp, but not in real life.
Is that the FBI guy? Oh, okay.
No.
And you've got some good bedfellows up there.
Yeah.
The one guy could protect you really well.
Yeah. That was my other group of guys I went to Canada with. We still haven't gotten our junk together since before COVID. That's my other group
Okay.
So now I got two groups to deal with.
Yes, you do.
Hi, boys.
What do we got, Nick?
Minnesota news. What's happening in the market? Looks like there's more help on the way for first-time home buyers in Minnesota. The government recently approved a $150 million housing assistance package aimed at helping thousands of first-generation home buyers, especially people of color, come up with a down payment. Tell me about this. Is it good? What's going to happen?
I'm curious what they mean by first generation. So is that first generation Americans? I would assume.
Probably our
Yes, we got to read the
people that
fine
are coming
print.
over here. Yeah.
Hey, that's fine. Cool. It's American dream, man.
Sorry, guys. I had the rubber industry calling me. I got to get rid of them. That's what it says. I'm like, what?
The rubber industry?
All right. Well, I haven't heard much about this program here, but anytime you start incentivizing people, I mean, typically it will help. I guess in the long run, will it help? I mean, we are at a point where the prices are rising. People are wondering if something's going to happen, what's going to happen, which way it's going to go. Inventory keeps saving us, but if that changes and you're getting people in that are just borrowing the down payment and have nothing into it, that's where we got in a little trouble last time. And people started losing their house and letting them go. So I just hope they're careful with it and they've learned from our nice 2008 little debacle.
Yeah. Well, you probably remember that too, Chris. I mean, we had some really cool programs that were available back then as well that were up to $8,500. They put it against your taxes, so you get a tax return. Was the way they were doing it.
But you had to come up with the money first.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yes. And then you got the credit.
And you could use a loan from a relative or whatever. There wasn't a whole lot of fine print there. It was more just buy a house if you want one.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those people that bought houses back then when houses were really reasonable that have made tons of equity, which is the American dream. Mm-hmm. Most people that have a lot of wealth or generate any wealth, it comes from their real estate investment or their house or whatever. And hey guys, that's what it's all about, right? So helping somebody out that doesn't know that, it's like a secret, but it's not a secret, right? So it's you got to pay somebody anyway monthly. You might as well pay your own mortgage, and then at the end of 30 years own the thing. But what I, like you, Chris, concern myself with is that right now we're kind of at a real interesting point in the marketplace where we have houses that are artificially appreciated over the last couple of years because of demand, because of the lack of supply to the market. It's created a lot of demand, and those that can afford it, we're putting a lot of pressure on pricing, and then that artificially jumped our prices up, in my opinion. So when talking the news saying house prices are down, I don't think they're necessarily down. If you would have not followed the BS of it going up, you would have just said, hey, that should have been here instead of here. We're still above where we were, but it's reality. So what I've got more of a concern with right now, because I know if you've been following these stories, they were talking about Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae having their credit scores or their risk ratings going up. So they're higher risk, which means their rates will go up, which means, money across the board. They were saying that closing costs could go up more than 25% if that happens. And it's all correlated with this debt ceiling that's going on. So if you are thinking about buying a house right now and you are having issues with the deposits and the down payments and whatever else, you're better off making your move now, taking advantage of these products, because if that hits us and all of a sudden that affects our closing costs, can you imagine having, now you've saved up for how many years? Now your closing costs jump up 25%, and then the houses you're trying to buy keep going up. That kind of market you'll never catch up in.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I've been telling everybody, first-time buyers, get on now.
Yes.
So I had to get all that out. Sorry.
You did good. I like it.
Yeah.
I wonder. I sit and I try to think what is going to happen with this market, and our rates going to change? But I'll tell you what, I mean, as many buyers that are getting out, there's more coming in. There's still not a lot of sellers putting their stuff on the market, and I just don't know if we're in. I just don't think we're in trouble. I really don't. There's people out there with the money in which to be able to purchase it. I think they all feel like this is kind of an interim type thing,
Yep.
which might not be the greatest thing, but it's a year, 2, 3, 4 year kind of thing, and that the rates will come down, and they'll be able to refinance and feel good about their purchase. But people got to live too. They got to live somewhere.
Right.
They want to own something. So I think we keep going, but I do think that we're not going to have the amount of sales that we had before. And I think there's people, realtors, loan officers, title companies that are going to be hurting a little, in this market. There's just not enough to go around for everyone.
Right. Well, interesting fact this morning, National Association of Realtors just put out a study that was saying, like, in California alone, they've dropped like over 4% of their realtors in the last 30 days have dropped off, and they're leaving the industry in mass. So we have about 1.5 million real estate agents across the country, and they're projecting that by the end of the year it'll be down to like 1.1 million or something around that number. And so they're saying you're gonna see about 33% of the people getting out of the business in the next 6 months, roughly, and that blows my mind.
That's good for us because there won't be as much real estate content,
Yep.
and you guys will finally get famous out the shorts and whatnot. So I'm excited.
Well, think about this. Most people think real estate agents make a ton of money, right? So 2000, the COVID year, 2020 and 21, I think the average National Association of Realtors commission was 106,000. Okay. This year, they're projecting it to be 48,000. And I don't care who you are. You can work at McDonald's and make more money than that now. Everybody's $25 an hour, whatever the heck they are. You're not going to be a real estate agent, work this hard, and have people picking on you on commissions and having to sell this hard and not be making a decent living.
I think people got to remember too. I mean, 48,000 is gross.
You're for sure at poverty level.
There's a lot of expenses that realtors have
Yep.
that you don't have in your normal job. So,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, even doing a podcast or doing social media or doing those reels or doing brochures or putting signs on the property or doing advertising. I mean, you're 2,000-3,000 a month on that, and now that's 36 grand to your 48. That's not a good ratio.
How much am I paying?
You're only making 12,000 a year, Andy.
Oh,
All right.
I think
Serious
my
question.
better take over.
Yeah. Is the amount of realtor effort any different between a $400,000 home and an $800,000 house to justify double the fees? Why not go to flat rate pricing instead of a percentage? So they're asking, is there a difference? What do you think, Andrew? Do you think there's a difference?
I'm sure that came across from somebody that doesn't understand our industry. There's a risk threshold when you get into a business, and let's assume that you put in 10 hours on a file and you make $1,200. You put 10 hours on a file and you make $2,400. The idea there is that it's an average. So we as an industry, just like in restaurants or whatever else, sometimes they have items that they have a loss leader on just to get you in the door, the $7 cheeseburger, hoping that you buy a drink that they can make money on. So every industry has to have its pockets of income that it relies on. And every once in a while, somebody will come along that'll buy that more expensive home from you. And in my opinion, you provide the same service. They experience percentage-wise the same value that a person that buys at $400,000. They make double the profit. They make double the whatever. And to get somebody that's good at what they do, I do think they're, in some markets, Chris, I've seen, especially Canada, and where they get up into the $3 and $4 million range, they'll pay 6% like on the first million. And then after that, they have a sliding scale for how they go above that. So the market will cure itself. I mean, eventually, if you get to the point of where you have, I don't want to say the word flat rates, but real estate agents are smart. They'll get creative. Once they see that, hey, I don't need to make, 15,000 on a file, I can survive on 10, they'll do it. But right now it's so hit and miss with this industry that I think everybody's hanging on to every dollar they can get.
It's risk. It's risk versus reward. And I'll tell you what, you this question to me could easily be taken care of, and if depending on what kind of realtor you have and who your realtor is. So there's some that, yeah, that I mean, totally. I wouldn't pay them. I wouldn't pay them nothing, because that's exactly what you're getting. So you gotta pay for what the service is. Everything's negotiable.
Yep.
With an agent, you don't have to pay 6%. You don't have to pay 7. You don't have to pay 2. You don't have to pay 1 if you don't want to. And there's a lot of people out there that might do it for that, but you're probably going to get what you're paying for as well. So it's just one of those things that you got to feel if it's good for you. If it's not, then you want to negotiate it and try to get it to a better price. And there's so many options now to be able to do it on your own. You can certainly do it on your own and list it on your own and
Yep.
do it. It's a very hard thing. I don't even do my own properties. I've been doing it for 33 years and I sell a lot of real estate, and I don't even sell my own, because it's tough when you put yourself in that position. It's a lot different than me representing you and working in your best interest. But when you're on your own, you're kind of like, geez, that would be nice to be able to grab that. You don't have someone smarter saying, hey, well, here's the story. There's nothing out there right now. These people haven't, whatever the situation is. But you get to a point that, hey, I'm going to be able to make you more money. I'll tell you, I've done it many times where I'm going to accept it. And they're like, no, we'll just hang on. Because I shouldn't say that, but I'm kind of like, hey, just done, move on, get to the next deal. And, trying to maximize each one, the people that I have do my stuff, which is in my office, is it's worth the money that I pay them.
Hey, we've all got the buddy or the girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever over the years that they get the bad hair plugs, or they have LASIK surgery versus the off-brand surgery. They get implants and they're not. I mean, there's the. Please don't cut that where I go like this.
He knew it was coming. Yeah, he knew it was coming.
No, but think about it. We've all seen it where you're like, yeah, I got this whole procedure done for $1,500, and their eyes are weird, or their hairlines look like the plugs aren't even straight in their head, and it's like, I'd pay the extra $1,000 to get the right hair plug line put in, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's like I've had those buddies that have done that stuff, and you're like, I don't know if I would have went with the discounter on that deal. Things that are important to you, you should pay for, because, like I said to a lot of my clients, hey, when that 800,000 becomes 1.2 million because I put you in the right place at the right time, cut the right deal for you, I'm not going to ask for any of the 400,000 on the upside that you made on the house in 10 years or whatever. I'm just going to be a fair guy at a fair price and let you make those equities. So
I think people have to remember as well is that there is an investment, not only in the time from an experience that you've been in the industry, but there's an investment in the house. That we put up, that not knowing if we're ever going to get paid. And so, I mean, there's some risk to that. If you eliminate the risk, people are going to do it for a lot less. If I can go in and say, hey, you give me 10 grand to be able to sell this regardless, I'm going to get paid.
Right.
And you're going to pay my expenses. Hell yeah, let's go.
So Chris, this is, and again, I'm sorry, we're totally off track, but let's keep going. Since we're going 60 miles an hour off the tracks anyway.
Yeah.
So NAR has that website or that lawsuit right now happening where this exact argument's being made, where buyers are saying they were wronged because when the buyer agent came in and said, hey, we're not charging you anything to represent you as a buyer. Reality is they're getting paid 2.7% from the seller. So what these attorneys are saying is, we could have bought that house for 2.7% less in theory if we didn't have them paying your fees. Argument is like, well, they'd work for a flat rate. Maybe they just write up the paperwork for a flat fee or whatever. And that's where I say also back to attorneys, you don't need to collect 44% of my injured leg injury car accident, but you do because there's risk and reward. You don't charge a flat fee because nobody would pay it. Same with real estate guys. People will not pay a flat fee in real estate until they've seen the performance. So until the people that are hiring the services will say, we're good, like you said, Chris, guarantee you 10 grand to help us sell this house and I'll pay you up front. No refunds, and then you'll see people's behaviors change. But as long as you're putting the risk onto the person that you're hiring, then they're always going to be charging you more than what you and some people think is a fair fee.
Mm-hmm.
Risk reward.
I agree.
Well, they said I could have 30 seconds on the show for a quick ad. Andy Praske, Remax Advantage Plus, Andy@Praske.com if you want to email us. Here's the thing, 22 years in the business, over 1,400 sales. I'd like to help you with your real estate needs. If that's buying, if that's selling, if that's building, whatever it is, give us a call, send us an email. Let's get you started on your real estate journey. I'd like to help you on the way. Lots of experience here, and I would like to put it to work for you. Andy Praske, Remax Advantage Plus. Thanks for listening to the show.
So ever since I've gone into real estate, I've been getting more and more forehead wrinkles. And I've been trying to figure out, why am I getting so many forehead wrinkles? And I have finally figured it out. It's called the surprise you in real estate wrinkles. And what that is whenever anything happens in this business, we always go, what the fuck they just say to me? I'm sorry, how low of an offer they just submit? Yeah, it's my fiduciary duty, Jonathan. I'm looking out for the best interest of my client. Why don't you grab a pen and paper and take some notes? I'm 31.
That's awesome. Yeah. How's ours, Andy? Yeah, I got them too. Those real estate wrinkles there. Oh, yep, he's got them.
Yeah. Well, mine don't even go away anymore. I'm getting too old.
Hey, speaking of, that's why I love to meet with people rather than talk on the phone. I'd much rather meet with them because of exactly what that guy was just saying. I mean, that's nonverbal. And you can find out a lot about a person when you look them straight in the eyes, because people have a real hard time doing that. I was laughing. I stopped at a restaurant the other day, and this poor little girl at the hostess stand, I mean, she couldn't even look at me. And I kept trying to look at her, but she was like, couldn't even, where do you want to sit? Do you have a place that you'd like to go? And I'll just follow you, I'm like, okay. But they don't look at people anymore. They don't talk. I mean, it's usually, if she would have texted me, I think I would have got a, cute emoji or something. What table I had to go to. But it's just kind of sad. I was thinking about it. I'm like, what's gonna happen with this world? I see that a lot of times with offers. I just get emailed offers. No one even calls me. No one does anything. They just email it over, and it's just crazy to me. But oh well.
World's changing, my friend.
Yes, it is.
You want to pick your time of the day to show those quiet neighborhoods.
Parties. Yeah. It's I'll tell you what though, those are things you want to find out at the beginning though. You really do. You don't want that to be a problem later on. It's so much better to get everything out before you ever close on it. I'm telling you, both ways, even if you're on the wrong end of it. It's just better that they know. And then because you're in a lot better position if all of a sudden it comes out that, hey, there's huge loud party next door. And there's parties all the time, and they're drug dealers, and you called the cops on them 17 times, and you didn't feel like you should probably let them know that might ruin their right of enjoyment of the property. It just becomes a real icky piece. And it might not even be about that party, but it's everything else in that house now becomes a way in which to be able to go after you. So,
well, and isn't it going to be now where you can have drug deals happening next door as long as you have a permit?
As long as you have a what?
A permit?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it legal here now to do drug deals?
Yeah, that gets rid of the drug dealers now. So
Yeah,
we can just go buy them.
Great direction to head. Let's just keep going. Huh.
What kind of inside deal are you talking about?
All I can say is underpriced waterfront property that's guaranteed to appreciate in value. That's all I can say. Oh, wait, are you bothered by sorority noise, though?
I don't know, Brian. I don't know if I'm a real estate investor.
Well, you might surprise yourself.
I don't know about buying a place without seeing it first.
Of course not. I wouldn't expect you to. But as your friend, I wanted to let you know early because there's another buyer who's about to snap it up.
It's not Lou Sheridan, is it?
Do you like Lou Sheridan?
I hate Lou Sheridan.
It's Lou Sheridan. Say what you want, but he's got an eye for real estate. Let me just give him a call and let him know he's going to get the place.
Wait. Okay, I'll take it.
All right, you won't be sorry.
That's why our industry is. Why do we pay these people this much?
Yeah, no, totally. I had a really hard time hearing that. So Andy, you're gonna have to just comment. I just smiled.
Well, he was talking about a real estate investor, and he said basically, like, I don't know if I'm a real estate investor. And he says, oh, come on. And then he says, he mentioned the name and he goes, Lou, whatever. And he goes, hey, he's buying the property. I hate that guy. And he goes, yeah, that's the guy that's buying it. I should call him right now, let him know he got the property. And then he goes, I'll take it.
It goes against.
I hope my comprehension was correct.
Yeah,
I thought,
that's no problem.
I thought it was just kind of like slimy real
Yes.
estate people and how to be careful for that and so forth.
Well, did you notice his big chiclet teeth? The dog normally doesn't have teeth like that.
It's unfortunate. It happens in every industry, but yeah, I feel it. I've seen it. I've dealt with it more than once. So, ick.
All right, boys, let's get into our this or that. These are kind of going viral on YouTube and Facebook. People like to hear what real estate experts have to say about their city. Let's bring it to you by Chris Rooney, Home Experts.
I was just 1 year old when my family started in real estate, where both my parents were agents. They also dabbled in investing in real estate, rentals, flips, and construction. After college, I went right into getting my license in July of 1990. As a 23-year-old agent in an industry that looks nothing like today, I had to know more for my clients to choose me. There wasn't Zillow or social media to tell them how good I was. I had to win them over with knowledge. With knowledge comes confidence, and with confidence comes results.
Speaking of going viral, Nick, on these things, I've had a few people harass me on them of my choices.
Which one do they disagree on? Shakopee, Jordan, Park Lake, Lakeville? Which one? Yep.
Shakopee, Jordan. Shakopee, Jordan. I was at the Prior Lake game at Shakopee, and I know quite a few people there. They just happened to mention something. It was pretty funny, actually. So now it's your turn, Andy, to get in trouble.
No, thank you. I will plead the fifth and sit here quietly drinking my coffee.
Elk River.
It's you, Andy. Elk River or Rogers?
Well, I'll tell you what. So why don't we start? You guys want me to? So you want me to describe the city to you, or what I like about the city, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah. Talk about both, and then say this or that, like the pros, the cons, and then your decision.
Okay. So, I work and kind of real close live to both of these communities. So I know them very well, drive through Elk River frequently, Rogers frequently. I do business in both cities. I would say if you were looking for a city with a small town feel, but yet close to the Twin Cities, it would be Elk River. It has an old, like kind of charming downtown. One of my favorite restaurants in the Twin Cities is that Daddy-O's. It's up there. It used to be Little Brooklyn over in Brooklyn Center. They moved up there. So I meet some of my buddies up there, my brothers sometimes up there for lunch. It also has a newer amenities on the other side, and their sports teams are really still coming together. And football and basketball and all these teams are really, really starting to shine. It's becoming a shining city from an athletic perspective as well. Now, as far as cool things about that town, they do have the North Star. If you're into going downtown, runs right through town. They have all the amenities, modern stuff that you'd want to see up there. And then there's quite a variety of housing. So from the older existing charming stuff to the newer mid-priced, and they even have acreage. So if you want to have a fancy house out on the golf course or, live on 10 acres, that all can be accommodated in that town. Price ranges are still affordable as well. So Rogers?
You're a Rogers guy?
You know what? I like Rogers. Rogers, I jokingly used to call it the truck stop town because when I first started working out there, all it was the happy chef sitting out there in the corner and all the truckers that would stop on their way into the cities to regas and have lunch or whatever, breakfast. And I've been selling in Rogers for over 20 years, mostly new construction. So I started on, I don't remember what the name of the development was. Ended up in Edgewater when I was finally up behind that Vite up on the hill up there, the fancy development. They were, there's a whole nother episode I could talk about that, how the developer failed and everything else, but sold a lot of houses in Rogers over the years. It's a great value. And it's very hit or miss. It was very, interestingly enough, back in the day, not so much today, but back in the day, it was very like hot or cold based on gas prices. So people that didn't want to commute wouldn't go as far as Rogers, but people that wanted to be just a little farther out of the city hustle and bustle And Rogers has the same thing. Charming city, charming downtown. Granted, there's a freeway running through the middle of it, but that's okay too. It just brings a lot of commerce to the area, brings a lot more, cars driving by to buy their widgets, and keeps those stores and business up there to easy access.
So if I was going to buy something more in the $1 million range, which city do you think I should go to?
Elk River.
And why is that?
Just because I think that buyer, the amenities that they could, or the lifestyle that they could achieve with that, with more acreage, or being on a country club kind of a vibe, or the golf course, I should say. Those are easier to attain in that area. Now Rogers, what's cool about Rogers is you start getting towards the south end of Rogers, kind of towards that Hassan and I forget the name of the little town, Fletcher or whatever it's called right there. And that side of you're 5 minutes out of Maple Grove. You just go right down the back roads and you're right to Mama G's in about 4 minutes, and then right into all of that modern North Maple Grove. So it's actually pretty accessible to two cities. So if you like to shop and you like to be a little closer in, I'd suggest Rogers, because there's a lot of beautiful homes in both cities. And I really don't have a preference because I don't commute. So I would probably just as soon be a little farther up and go into Elk River. But if I was a commuter, I'd probably place that home in Rogers, because I also hate this. I'm not trying to be in the middle, but I actually like both cities pretty darn equally.
You're not going to get in trouble this way, Andy.
Well, no, Rogers got itself in trouble a few years ago. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. They were giving out a bunch of TIF money. They were giving like the Dairy Queen like $400,000 to build a Dairy Queen up there, and they wanted commerce. So they started really heavily, like Cabela's and everything. Everybody got a little handout to move up to Rogers, and they got in trouble over time over it. And then that whole regime that was in there got wiped out, and they replaced everybody. And now they've kind of cleaned it up, and they're not handing out so much money. But I don't remember all the details. You could probably Google it and find it. But they did the forefathers of the current administration were trying to get the commerce there to make it more than a truck stop town. And that's what they did, at the expense of all that extra taxpayer money to get them there. And like some people are like, why should I pay, to have a Dairy Queen here? You probably wouldn't have had a Dairy Queen there or the hotels that are there or the restaurants that are there if they didn't have that money available. But
it was incentive to get those businesses in town.
Right. And it created a town and literally turned it from a truck stop to a town.
The people's problem with it is in reality, what they do is they just reduce their property taxes for a certain amount of time and or have zero. But the problem is that these companies are still using the city services. So they're costing them money and not paying any money. And that's where people have the problem.
Well, yeah, and when they're not paying money, it actually put the burden onto the homeowners, because the corporations that normally generate a lot of taxes were not. So I don't know if we're quite at that 20-year window yet, but I think it was like a 20-year window where they were forgiven, and now they are kicking in. And so now you I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can stay afloat, some of those businesses. Yeah. You start adding 50,000, 40,000 a year in taxes onto a business, and that takes away all their profit real fast and makes it maybe not as exciting to stay.
Very true.
Anyway, that nothing to do with housing, but it's a real situation in that area.
Yeah. Oh,
well, Hassan Township keeps getting annexed into the Rogers, so Rogers will keep growing for many, many years. To the west and to the kind of both sides, actually, east and west side.
Well, this one I'm talking about is a different Hassan. It's called Chanhassen.
Ooh.
Chanhassen versus Chaska. Okay, so I think this is exactly what Nick did to me last week with Shakopee and Jordan, because I think they both have that feel. Chanhassen, a little newer, kind of settled between Eden Prairie, Chaska, and Minnetonka, and great. I mean, it's a great area, but it's kind of like I just feel like Chanhassen doesn't really have their whole own identity, because I think they're intertwined with a lot of the different places. Chaska is a river town for the most part. It's had a lot of issues with flooding. They've solved that problem, not completely, but a lot of it.
They rerouted the river.
Yeah, they exactly what they did, and actually rerouted it right around the home I just sold. And it was interesting because I went there, and when we listed it, there wasn't a drop of water in that area. And then when we sold it, I mean, it was about 4 feet up. It was pretty cool to see because they have an old ballpark there, the Chaska, where the Chaska Hawks play, and the town team and the high schools play there. And that used to get, I mean, normal. It flood every year on the river bottoms there, and so it was totally like perfect. I'm like, wow, this is that worked out pretty darn good. But Chaska is well, the town is being ripped apart right now, but I think they're trying to get kind of that old downtown a little more revitalized again. And 41 all the way up into County Road 5 is really kind of a combination of the Chaska Chanhassen conglomerate in there. And I think that old town, they have an old town square that is just, to me, is gotten just overran with the trees are too big, the flies are too many. It's just not used enough. And I think they need to incorporate that a little more. There's a lot of cool old homes in Chaska. You can get in for a little less money on some of them if you want that. Schools, I mean, Andy talked about schools and sports, and that's a big thing for people in town. So having both of those schools very strong on both, I think they're pretty close to the same size as well. So John Hansen's got a little newer houses. Chaska's got the old Jonathan, Jonathan was supposed to be the premier neighborhood in the United States. They were creating this neighborhood. Not so much anymore. It's different. It's a different type of neighborhood design. But Chanhassen, you're going to get a lot newer houses. Some of Chanhassen is in Minnetonka schools, so people like that. There's some lakes, obviously the rivers, and now it comes down to which one Chris Rooney will choose, and he is going with Chaska. I'm kind of into the old town, the old feel, and the old Norman Rockwell type feeling, and they got that new curling center. Have you seen that? Have you been there, Andy?
I have a couple of friends that live down there, and once a year we probably get invited down there for dinner. Should be more.
Me and a buddy went, and John Mayasich, if you've heard of him, he was like a Gopher hockey player.
Okay.
I mean, he was out there curling with the team.
That's cool.
The guy's got to be 90 years old.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun sport. I was in a league for 1 year and
you did?
enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
live in Blaine. They have a curling center up there in Blaine too. So
that Blaine whole thing is super cool, by the way. I was very impressed by that.
Hey, Andy, ask him a question relating to those cities. Don't do the same one though. Make it more like interesting, I think.
What school has the better colors for their teams?
Okay. Well, Chaska's purple and gold. And I don't know about that. And Chanhassen is kind of more of a gray and a blue. I would call that. So I'm going to go with Chanhassen. And I like their assistant AD. Nick, do you know who that is? Brant Broderick.
Oh, really?
He works that gig over there. Morgan was playing volleyball against him, but he's working. I'm like, what the heck are you doing, dude? And he's like, all these kids now have these actual real important jobs. It's interesting.
It sucks getting old because all of a sudden these kids are now adults and have jobs and
yeah.
Okay, I got one. Okay, so a new family just had a baby. They got a $500,000 budget. What are they choosing, Chaska or Chanhassen? They're low 30s.
I think they're going to get more money and kind of the lifestyle they want in Chaska. I think they're going to get. It's going to be a little older home. It might be in Jonathan, the area Jonathan, and it's nice for parks and trails and along the river and the small town feel, but yet close to everything. You're right on 212. You're right on 41. Right on 169. Really, get in and out of there. I'm gonna let them start looking at Chaska. And I happen to be a good friend of Nick's from high school. Ended up buying out in that Chaska Victoria area because they're all kind of together out there. So
yeah, I read out. I've been out to Waconia recently a couple times, and I wrote out that 212 or whatever it is, and then you turn north on some road up to Waconia.
Yeah.
But it was, it looks like a nice. They got a fleet farm, which is super nice.
So does Carver.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, boys. So just in case those closing costs shoot up in the United States, we're going to show another foreign property here. And this, I think, could be an amazing opportunity for rentals and Airbnbs. I think you can make a crap ton of money in the European summer, because that's where we're going. We're going to the land of La Dolce Vita in Italia. And give me 1 second and let me share this.
Wow. I'm guessing.
This is in southern Italy. It's one of the most famous destinations for a lot of Italians to go down to the south of Italy. I have not been there yet, but I'm very interested in going. The problem is in the summertime, the worst places are being rented for like $100 to $150 a night. And that is, quite expensive in Europe. But so here, we got this villa here in not too far from the beaches and whatnot for 220,000 euros, 150 meters squared. I think I did the math. Is that like 1,600 feet squared? I don't know, but it's got 7 rooms. I'll do that quick. So let's go through this bad boy. Terrible first photo, I think. They should do something different. You'll see, but this is pretty quintessential Italian type vibe. You can see the wine on the top cupboards over there. It's kind of funny.
Well, lots of wine.
So, I mean, this is a pretty big home for Italian standards. The 7 rooms, got your own little compound. That's why they call it a villa. Got the barbecue area out there.
I see windows open. Is that typically there's no AC?
Yep.
Okay.
Very rare. So, I mean, to me, you could do a lot for, renting out and whatnot. I mean, it's pretty big for Italian standards. And you got some privacy, some green, and it's in a great location, like I said, in the summertime. Look at that. It's pretty big, no?
Yeah. If my math is right, it's about 235,000 American.
Yep.
So how close is it to water?
It's private, their thing, but it's in like Tropea, and it's a smaller thing. So you could probably get to the water within, 5 minutes on a Vespa. I assume you could probably walk there within 20 minutes.
Okay. And Tropea,
like I said, places like this, they were renting in this area when I was looking, I think last summer or the summer before. And remember that we had the pandemic too. I would have to pay like $100 to $150 for one of those bedrooms a night. And that's, and
you'd share with other people?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't even getting my own place down there. Like it's expensive, especially during the summer. And we're talking from May to, maybe the end of September. So I think you can make a killing, renting out, but also, from everything I've heard, it's just like, that's where the magic happens. And
Andy's going to buy it.
I think I should plan a visit first.
Well, and then here's the thing too. So it's in Italy, a G7 country, European Union, Schengen. You're not buying in Albania like the one we showed, or Brazil. And Andy's huge objection has always been, oh, they're going to just take the house away. They're not going to take an American house away in Italy. So do you guys think this is a decent investment? Oh, it's an hour away from an international airport. Okay. So you just take, a car, or there's a train that goes right to the airport. I think that's a pretty good location. You'll fly somewhere from the USA into Rome and then probably down to Tropea Airport. So you have to exchange at an airport at least once or twice. But I don't know. To me, I think it's a pretty damn good deal, no?
Well, it depends. I mean, can you VRBO the thing out? Is that allowed there?
Yes. I told you.
What do you think you VRBO out for how many months?
Huh?
This is the math equation. How many, what I'm going to ask you is how many dollars it'll generate in revenue. So if it only rents 5 months out of the year, but it's $100 a night, you're making $4,500 a month in rent. So you make 25,000. I'm going totally off rough numbers. 25,000 is your service. So that's, a 10% gross ROI. It's not horrible, but if you have debt service, then it is.
Is it kind of a destination at certain times? or is it
Oh,
year
in
round?
southern Italy, you can live year round pretty comfortably, but the summer is insane. Like it's very hard to get anything in southern Italy or Sicily because all the Italians and then all the Europeans like want to go there, and now a lot of Americans have been visiting too. So I think you could rent it, year round through Airbnb, VRBO, but you're gonna up the price crazily from May to end of September.
Every time I hear you talk, it's always Italy always comes back to the most passionate place. Is that true with a lot of people once they start going overseas? Is that Italy is like the spot?
Yeah, I think Italy's my favorite for sure. There's just a certain like feeling about it. Some people like Spain though. Spain's got a similar vibe, but I don't think there's anything that compares to Italy. I mean, I don't know about the most passion. I mean, you're talking like Brazil and whatnot is freaking they're crazy over here, but just the balance between safety, aesthetic, feelings, romanticism. I think Italy for sure. Yeah.
Wine, food.
Vino.
You got a relationship with that vino. What about those like Greece and some of those other areas where there's islands, and is that, I know their government's broke, but or has been for years.
Property tax is terrible over there too. I don't think it's as brutal for if you only own one home in Italy. If you own multiple, it gets crazy. But the reason why I showed this southern Italian property too is in the south of Italy, like there's homes, you've heard this, for like €1, right? And you have to renovate it because it's in an old town with that many people, and that get to 50,000, 75,000 euros. But property in the south of Italy, because there's no industry down there, is super, super cheap. Like a lot of British people have bought it up because they can work remotely or they can fly there quickly, right? Because there's no jobs in the south. All the industry is in the north. It's totally different, like country, the north and the south of Italy.
But the south is where the vacationers are.
Yes, the south is the best weather. They say the best food. They say better people, nicer people. Yeah.
So more hospitality, restaurant kind of industry than
100%.
I'd be interested. I'd obviously want to visit, a place like that before I invest in it. But that a $235,000 investment is a no-brainer for in the States here. But
yeah, that's very inexpensive.
Seems like it's got the numbers dialed in. I'd take a look at it.
All right, beautiful, cool. Well, let's get to our last little thing here. Kind of a role play. Need you guys, your smart brains, to help this person out. Okay, so I need to pop it up.
Let's help them.
Yeah.
All right.
Hold on. Let me put it up here quick. I lost it.
There's that $8,000 thing again. Come to Minnesota. There's a plan for you. How about that? Do you remember what that plan is called, Andy?
What?
What's that plan called that they're giving $8,000 to new? Is that?
Need more context.
What we talked about at the beginning. What was that? What was that plan called?
This plan?
No, long ago.
I can't read it. Oh, there it is.
The seller is set to close the deal with the buyer next week, but has been informed that the buyer can't muster up the funds to make the payment, and is requesting the seller to pay $8,000 of their closing costs to make the deal work, called renegotiating the deal. All right. The seller, who is a working class individual, is frustrated by this as they accepted the buyer's offer because they had an approval letter for $60,000 more than their offer. So if this house was $340,000, they came in and gave them a $400,000 approval letter. And this demand is not pocket change for them. The seller's looking for other options. Other options than relisting it or accepting the $8,000 hit. Would you like to start on that one, Andy? What would you recommend?
No,
If you're representing the seller that's getting
I'd tell them to go to hell. I'd in 2 seconds, I'd be like, listen, you want $8,000, you go talk to your parents. We're not a charity. I mean, unless I didn't, and I was trying to comprehend everything you were saying there. So I don't know if they found something on a home inspection or if they just were short on money.
Just short on money. Came up to closing.
And grow up and show some responsibility and figure out a way to get it done.
No.
Just being honest. I mean, that's what I would do. I'd go right back. It's amazing how when the kids are like, Mom and Dad, I can't believe I'm losing a deal over $8,000. And Mom and Dad say, oh, let's strike a check as long as the lender will allow the gift from the parents. And all of a sudden, wham, bam, you get the thing done and your client has $8,000 more in their pocket. I've learned that when you push back, 95% of the time, the buyers will figure it out.
I think all of our first instincts as a realtor is like, screw you. No way. We're not going to do it. But then you also have to look at the seller situation. And it's unfortunate that these things happen, but they do happen and we have to deal with them. And so now it's like, okay, what's the situation we're in? Now, the market that we have been in and for a long time is that, heck yeah, this is great. Let's get rid of them because we're going to sell our house for more money. But that might change. Or, hey, I've got to get into a house that I purchased. And so they kind of got you. And it's one of those things that's tough to do. I have done this. I just did it. But that was an attempt of a buyer on a listing of mine. And this person was getting a really good deal. They kept missing closing times. And I just said, you know what? I'll buy it. I'll buy it for that. So I did. And we ended up getting rid of that person, called their bluff. And they really weren't bluffing because they weren't able to do it. But it was one of those things that we're able to, save it. I fixed it up, turned around and resold it again. Seller's happy. Chris is happy. Everyone's happy. But you don't get that. That doesn't happen a lot because not many people are able to go purchase it, right away. But you've got to have a realtor that's going to look at all of the whole picture and be able to tell you and give you your options. Because if we don't give the options and all of a sudden one of those things happen, like we say, screw them, don't do it. Well, all of a sudden the market's horrible and we're not in tune with that. Now our sellers are going to get stuck and it's going to just be worse for them.
Well, and I've learned, I guess, over the years that sometimes when you push back, you'll get what you want, but yet you can always respond back again. They say, you know what, sorry, the whole deal is going to blow up. The parents won't contribute. Then I'll ask the agent, I'll say, hey, would you be willing to kick in a concession if I do? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, can we do that? Is that going to fly? And then last result is you just go to your seller and you say, hey, listen, in today's market conditions, I'm advising that you take this deal. I'm conceding this. The other buyer's agent's conceding that to help out and, or whatever. In the old days, Chris, we also used to be able to take back a second. So it'd be called seller financing. And the sellers could take an $8,000 loan out and they'd say, hey, we'll hold this for 0% for 2 years. And in 2 years, you refinance the house, get $8,000 and pay us or whatever. And that was another way we used to do stuff like that too. So, but
the lending company, mortgage company just has to be aware of it, because if they don't accept that and it's a problem later on, then you committed fraud against the mortgage and you're stating that you're not doing that. So you got to be careful, but that is totally true. There's a lot of mortgage companies that will do that. And sometimes that agent might have to borrow them the money as well. So
been there.
Yep.
All right, what you boys got coming up? Anything fun, exciting?
I got a new one going on the market today in Brooklyn Park. Nice Rambler.
Oh.
Got another one coming in Coon Rapids, Ham Lake, Blaine. I got some good stuff coming. I was saying a lot of people, it seems like it was a kind of delayed spring with the listings, kind of a lot of people hesitating, and now they're like, you know what, let's go for it. So
get a real nice one. We got to get your buddy Stulpus on this one. I'm listing a place right where he bought.
Oh,
he did do his yard up right, I'll tell you that. And my kind of place kind of overlooks him. So whoever wants to stare at Stulpus can come by my
in his
little place.
mankini on the deck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've sat on that deck many times now, at least a couple times, and it's cool, man. It's there's that little nature area right behind them, and man, the wildlife that comes in there, they've got some beautiful deer and turkeys.
And he's feeding them. That's why they're all coming up there.
If that's legal, then yes, he does. If it's illegal, no, he doesn't.
Maybe that's just where he eats at night. He has this big trough that he fills up and he goes and touches it. I don't know.
They did do the landscaping right though, didn't they?
Yes.
I told him that too. It's gorgeous. I mean, the retaining walls, like your new customer has enjoyed the look. I mean, they stuck a ton of money into that. It just looks gorgeous.
What's interesting about that, Nick, is that it's an association, so there's single families, but within this association, and when someone comes in and does it right like that, it only helps everyone else, because any buyer that's coming in to look, and this is a resale in a neighborhood that's getting built up, but that people look at it and say, wow, look at what they did to there, and that, so your values can go up because someone did it the right way. So thank you, Mark.
Where's your client headed to?
It's a place kind of way down south, kind of in a corner where there's a certain governor that's trying to be a president there.
Oh,
Florida. That's where they're going.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. How about you, Nick? What do you got going on this week, buddy?
Just staying here.
Have a game?
No. I'm going to Salvador. It's a famous Brazilian city, very dangerous. Next week for a holiday, so it should be exciting.
Why the heck would you do that?
Because every dangerous place, there's beautiful places too, and it's like famous colonial city. It's on the water, perfect weather. So I'll be with the Brazilians. I'll be safe, and I won't be a dumb gringo, but it'll be great. I'll send some.
No chains, Nick. No chains.
I haven't been wearing one for a while.
They're stripping them, and
yeah. But everyone else, yeah.
No, that's it. Yeah. You've lived it, so you know.
Everyone else, give us a review, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're bumping up in subscribers. Like our Facebook reels, they're reaching the algorithm. And here's the link tree. All you got to do to find our websites, all information, just click that little link tree and bravo. All right, guys. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Real Estate Radio Hour. Don't forget to visit our website, realestateradiohour.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast listening app. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes or sharing us with a friend. Until next time, stay awesome, Twin Cities.